Picture this. You're standing in shallow water off the coast of a small island in Micronesia, and rising out of that water is a wall. Not a ruin, not a scatter of rubble, a wall. 7 meters tall, built from stacked columns of black basalt, and there's no mortar anywhere in it. Nothing holding it together except the weight of the stone itself. Now here's the number that should stop you cold. Some of those columns weigh up to 50 tons. This whole thing sits on a coral reef, and there's no quarry anywhere near it. So how do you move something that heavy with no metal tools, no wheels, no pulleys? And why did the people who supposedly built it say they didn't move the stone at all? They said they flew it. This is Nan Madol. 90 artificial islands built on top of a reef, connected by canals cut straight into the stone. The city in the reef. Let's place this on a map first, because the location matters. And roughly 2,500 miles from the Philippines going west. It's small, 13 miles across at most, covered in jungle and mangrove, with one steep mountain punching up out of the center of it. Not the kind of place you'd expect to find one of the strangest construction projects on Earth. But that's exactly where Nan Madol sits. Over 90 artificial islets built directly on top of a coral reef, spread across almost a mile of shallow water, and threaded together by stone canals. That's actually where the name comes from. Nan Madol means within the intervals, a reference to those canals running between the islets like streets between city blocks. Now, the numbers. Walls up to 58 feet tall, 17 feet thick at the base. To walk the full perimeter of the outer wall would take you past more stone than a single crew could shape in a lifetime. The outer walls use basalt columns laid crosswise, so each course locks against the last. It's dry stonework, but it isn't loose stone. Built from columnar basalt, stacked in what's called a header stretcher pattern, alternating the direction of each layer the way you'd stack logs for a cabin. Except the logs are stone, and some of them weigh as much as a school bus. Altogether, researchers estimate close to 750,000 tons of material went into this site. Here's what the official record says happened. Radiocarbon dating puts the major construction between 1200 and 1600 CE, credited to a ruling line called the Sotalur dynasty. That's the version you'll find in most textbooks, and most of them stop right there. Dynasty rises, dynasty builds, case closed. Except it isn't closed. Other studies done at the site push signs of settlement back to the 2nd century BC, which is well over 1,000 years before the Sotalurs even existed. If that dating holds up, Nan Madol isn't a single project built by one dynasty. It's a site with layers of history that nobody has fully sorted out yet. So that's the timeline, or at least as much of it as we can piece together. But the timeline was never the hard part here. The hard part is explaining how any of this actually got built. The engineering problem nobody can solve. Start with the stone itself. No basalt quarry sits anywhere near Nan Madol, which means every column in those walls had to come from somewhere else, either another spot on Pohnpei or a neighboring island entirely. Either way, that stone crossed open water to get there. There's no path around that fact. The reef doesn't grow basalt. So how do you float a 50-ton column across the ocean without a single modern tool? One answer got tested on television. In 1995, a Discovery Channel special tried it out, building bamboo rafts and loading them with stone to see if the old transport theory would hold up. But they didn't even use 50-ton columns. They used stones weighing 1 to 2 tons, a small fraction of what Nan Madol's builders were supposedly moving. And the rafts sank anyway. And the crew running that test didn't improvise with local materials. They had modern tools, modern planning, and a support team standing by. The rafts still sank. That experiment didn't recreate every possible method, so it can't settle the case. It does show that the easy answer, a simple raft, won't carry the weight. If a raft can't handle 2 tons, it has no chance with 50. The math doesn't scale up, it collapses. So the leading transport theory, tested under controlled conditions, failed at a fraction of the real weight. Which means the question of how the stone got there is still open. Nobody has replaced the raft theory with something that actually works. But let's say, for argument's sake, that the stone made it to the site somehow. That still leaves a second problem, and it might be the harder one. Someone had to take columns weighing up to 50 tons and lift them into place, stacking them into walls 7 meters high. No pulleys existed on Pohnpei, no levers built for that kind of load, no wheels, and nothing in the archaeological record points to draft animals capable of hauling stone that heavy. Think about what that takes today. A 50-ton lift means a crane rated for that load, a trained crew, and a century of engineering knowledge behind it. Now ask what a population with none of that would need to do the same job by hand. This is where the population numbers stop cooperating with the official story. Estimates put Pohnpei's population, at the time the Sodelers supposedly ruled, somewhere between 20,000 and 30,000 people. That's everyone. Infants, elders, the sick, the whole island counted together. Some researchers have run the labor math against that number, and the conclusion isn't small. Given the available workforce, actually finishing a site the size of Nan Madol would have taken something like 3 centuries. So here's the gap, and it's worth stating plainly instead of rushing past it. The radiocarbon dating says construction happened within a few centuries under one dynasty. The population math says the labor available couldn't have finished the job in that window, not without leaving basically everyone else on the island to do nothing but haul stone for 10 generations straight. Archaeology hasn't closed that distance. Nobody has published a workforce model that makes both numbers agree. That doesn't mean the dynasty didn't build it. It means the how still doesn't add up, no matter how many times you run the numbers a different way. Which brings us to the explanation the people of Pohnpei have given the entire time, one that archaeology, for all its careful math, has never actually been able to rule out. 2 brothers, a curse, and a dynasty that vanished. According to Pohnpeian oral history, Nan Madol didn't start with one dynasty at all. It started with waves of settlers, arriving on the island generation after generation, and each group is remembered as carrying its own kind of knowledge, described in the old accounts as magic. That word does a lot of work in this story, and we'll come back to it. But the tradition is specific about how this ends. Eventually, 2 brothers arrive, named Olisipa and Olasopa, and they're the ones credited with building Nan Madol. Here's what the story actually claims, stated plainly. The brothers didn't haul the basalt. They didn't drag it, roll it, or raft it across the water. They flew it. According to the account, they moved the stone through the air and set it directly into place, stacking columns into islets and walls, as if the weight simply didn't apply to them. And this is the founding act. This is the moment the tradition marks as the start of the Sodelur dynasty, the same dynasty that radiocarbon dating later attaches to the site. Now, it's worth keeping this account close to where it comes from instead of dressing it up. In Pohnpeian tradition, the story isn't told as an engineering manual. It's told as an explanation of sacred power, a way of saying this stone was moved by something outside ordinary human labor. Whatever technical knowledge might have sat underneath that explanation, if any did, had already faded by the time European visitors started writing things down in the 1800s. What survived wasn't a method. It was a memory of power, stripped of its mechanics. The dynasty itself didn't last forever. Sodalur rule held the island for centuries, but by the late 1600s, it was overthrown. Nan Madol didn't get demolished, and it didn't get buried. It just got left standing, walls and canals intact, slowly going quiet as the people who built it, or who at least claimed to have built it, lost their grip on the island. That's where things get harder to explain away. Early European visitors and colonial officials who explored Nan Madol, or removed material from it, kept running into the same kind of bad luck. Shipwrecks, bankruptcies, sudden unexplained deaths, close enough in time to the disturbance that locals didn't need much convincing. The pattern got attached to a simple explanation: guardian spirits protecting the site, punishing anyone who disturbed it. Now let's be careful here, because this is where the record gets complicated in a different way. None of this proves a curse. Correlation isn't causation, and a string of misfortunes following a handful of expeditions doesn't establish supernatural cause and effect. That said, the pattern is documented closely enough, across enough separate incidents, that it made its way into the site's own historical record. Not just folklore passed around a campfire, written accounts kept by outsiders noting the same coincidence again and again. By the time a new political system called the Nan Marquis rose to replace the Sodalurs, Nan Madol didn't disappear. It kept its role as a ceremonial site, used for gatherings and ritual, even as the population that once filled its canals with daily life had scattered. When the first European ships reached Pohnpei in the early 1800s, they didn't find a working city. They found something already empty, a stone skeleton standing in salt water, with nobody left who could explain how it got there. So the dynasty fell. Conclusion. The stones are still there. The reef still holds them, exactly where they've sat for centuries. And the explanation for how they got there still doesn't exist anywhere in the archaeological record. Nan Madol didn't sink beneath the ocean. It didn't fade into myth the way some lost cities do. More than 90 stone islets are still standing on that reef right now. And yet no excavated tool, no work plan, no first-hand account explains how anyone moved and stacked columns weighing up to 50 tons. Picture the opening image again. Standing in shallow water, looking up at a wall 7 meters tall. Nothing holding it together but the weight of the stone. That image hasn't changed in 800 years, and neither has the question sitting underneath it. The city is still there, still solid, still holding its shape against the tide. But the record of how it got there is gone. We can trace the walls, date parts of their use, and name the dynasty tied to its later building. The missing part is the work itself. The city stayed. The answer didn't. If you want more deep dives built on primary sources instead of easy answers, subscribe. And let me know in the comments which explanation you think the evidence actually supports.